Good morning, world, from the campground. We're at a KOA campground just off of I-70 down by Dayton, Ohio, as today we go to the Dayton U.S. Air Force Museum to walk around, see the pretty airplanes, learn a little bit more about U.S. history as well too, and just enjoy this beautiful day. It is a beautiful day down here in Dayton, as you can see out the window here. I wanted to shoot this video. We're starting to see a massive problem get developed. Now, this massive problem isn't going to impact Windsor very much. It's not going to impact Windsor house prices very much, if any at all. But the problem is definitely a massive economic problem on our horizon. The 10-year note last week, Monday, was 3.99%. That's what they sold $38 billion of them at, 3.99%. I feel sorry for all of those people that were stupid enough to go in and buy them at 3.99%, because now the 10-year note today is 4.31%, 4.31%. Not 3.99% anymore last week. The challenge is that the 10-year note is rapidly increasing, which is the foundation, the basis for everything financial. And so when the 10-year note closed above 4.25 yesterday, and today it's 4.31, where's it going to? It's going to 5. It's going to 6. It's going to 7. We don't know where it's going to. We just know that it's breaking out of its chart. We just know that it's going higher. So the problem with that is that the cost of the U.S. to borrow money is going through the roof. Literally. Because the U.S. has $38 trillion borrowed from 5 years ago's spending, from yesterday's spending. We're just going to borrow money to continue to keep spending. So the challenge is now that because they have $38 trillion borrowed, and because the interest rate on that borrowing has gone from 3.99 to 4.31, that small, teeny tiny change in interest rates on a massive sum of money is a hell of a lot of money that the U.S. is just borrowing to pay interest on. It never ends. And the Russians know this. They realize that the United States is borrowing money to fund a war. So they're basically borrowing money to buy fireworks that just go poof up in smoke. So as soon as the U.S. goes and borrows $1 billion to give to Ukraine, here, Ukraine, here's $1 billion. How much of that money is actually going to the war? Not very much of it. It goes to all kinds of different middlemen. And so at the end of the day, the money gets to the front eventually with armaments and things like that, but they light them up and get back, and kaboom. The money goes kaboom. We can no longer afford to do that. We have no money. None whatsoever. It's all being borrowed. And this ends ugly at some point in time. So the more we blow up our own dollar, the more inflation soars for you and I. The more expensive an egg becomes, the more expensive a gallon of milk becomes, the more expensive a gallon of diesel fuel, which is now over $4.15 a gallon again, And I'm on the busiest corridor of freight in the United States. The I-70 corridor is and I-75, I'm basically right at that point. I-75 and I-70, Dayton, Ohio. One of the busiest freight corridors on the planet, to be honest with you. It's just constant, semi-truck after semi-truck after semi-truck after semi-truck after semi-truck. $4.15 a gallon. Think about that for a minute. The massive number of dollars just being driven down the freeway. So what I'm trying to point out to you is that the market is now turned around, and what nobody's talking about at all on, if you watch CNBC, if you watch the press, they talk about how Target is the greatest place in the world because they're so woke and they're so meaningful and they mean so well, that they went wall to wall with Target yesterday, while all of the indexes were rolling over and playing dead. All of tech was selling off hard because the 10-year note made the death cross 4.25%, and it closed above that. Yet, the press, not a word about anything newsworthy at all. We're going to go wall to wall with Target because they're so woke there, and we just want to make sure that everybody understands how much good work the people at Target are doing while the stock drops to nothingness. If you owned Target shares for the last 3 years, you've made absolutely no money. You've actually lost about 4.3%. And inflation has been running at 7%, so you've actually lost about 12% on your money in the last 3 years, per year. How long can you stay a Target investor if you're losing 12% on your money every year by letting them be woke? Oh, it's so nice to own Target shares. It's so nice to lose money on them. It's not the reason you buy shares. It's why everybody's gotten out of Ambev. They've moved their money saying, what the heck am I doing? These companies aren't going to make any money with this process. I'm going to be losing money. That's why everybody's sold off Disney. That's why nobody's going to Disney. That's why people are going to the Air Force Museum. The place is going to be packed today with people saying, I'm not going to Disney. I'm going to go to the Air Force Museum. I'm going to learn some really good stuff. I'm going to enjoy my day at a point that I could actually afford. When we get done with the Air Force Museum, we're going back up to Toledo, Ohio. We're going to walk around the Toledo Museum of Art. Peace and quiet. No screaming kids. Learning about art. Looking at photos and just getting lost in them for hours on end. At a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful building. The Toledo Museum of Art is world renowned, and I haven't been there in at least 30 years. I'm so looking forward to it. At least 30 years. And then we're going to take in a Mud Hens game, a AAA baseball game on Saturday, and the weather Saturday is supposed to be beautiful. We have tickets, first base, seat 1, seat 2, seat 3, seat 4, row A for the Mud Hens game. And yeah, tickets were a little bit expensive. They were $50 a piece. But my mom wanted to go. She's 84. She said, Brian, hey, if you could wait and go Saturday, I wouldn't mind going. Oh, what more of an invite do you need? It's like, sure, of course. We'll wait till Saturday. And we're going to be right down just enjoying a baseball game. As kind of the world falls apart. I'm going to be sitting there in the baseball stadium wondering how many people I can't even afford to be here today. How many people are maxed out on their credit? How many people are scared to death because their mortgage rate is now climbing over 7%. It's going to be 8% here very, very quickly in this administration. I'm going to be sitting there wondering, okay, how many people realize that the deaths in Hawaii were caused by the person that controlled the water, that there was no water to fight the fire because of water equity on the island of Maui. The person that was in control of the water didn't turn the water on to West Maui until after the fire had already ravaged the entire area. But how many people are even going to know that at a Mudheads game? They're going to be asking us for billions, send billions, please do everything you possibly can to save the people of Maui. But they're the ones that had this weird wacko guy in control of the water. The Hawaiian Electrical Power Company, the electrical utility out there, had over $200 million budgeted. $200 million budgeted for electric line fire suppression. Yet they had only spent about $278,000 of that. And yet we're supposed to go and give billions and billions of dollars to the people in Hawaii. They did it to themselves, but it's not them that did it to themselves. It's the businesses around them that did it to themselves. It's the liberal do-gooders, the wokeness in Hawaii that also caused unfortunate death. It's all around us. The whole cause of wokeness is to end our lives early. That's the whole point of it all. In my view, you look at what happened in Maui, the guy that controlled the water said, "I'm the water god here on Maui. I'm like King Kamehameha, but I'm higher power because I control the water. People can't live if I don't give them water. I control the water. I'm the water god here in Hawaii, on Maui." So what the guy, in many interviews, that's what he called himself. It was also the devil incarnate, because Hawaii burnt to a crisp. The island of Maui, the west side of Maui, burnt to. I'm not giving them any water. Hell with them. That guy should be tried for over 1,000 murders. And we should be using some power on him. Maybe we want to go waterboard him for a little while. I guarantee you he's not calling himself the water god today. He's probably hiding out in some bunker someplace trying to keep alive. And he should be. So we're learning all of these different things about how do-gooders, let's go ahead and budget $200 million for electrical line fire suppression. Okay, that'll be a good, really, really good number. Let's go write that down. But let's not spend a dime of it on that. And unfortunately, people died. So at some point in time, all of this stuff, all of this wokeness comes to an end. And that's what's going on in the stock market today. The 10-year note is soaring. The cost of borrowing, the cost of available borrowing is getting very hard. So businesses can no longer afford to borrow any longer to continue to keep investing in return on investment. So what I'm saying by that is that the cost of borrowing for a business now is over 10%. So if the return on the investment that they were going to make is less than 10%, they're no longer making that investment. Because if the cost of capital is 10% and the return on that, what you're planning on doing, is only 8%, then there's no profit in it any longer, and those jobs are going to be cut. The only stocks that are moving today or that are supporting themselves today are those industrials who produce things. Because all that's going to be left is a world, a country, a world, if you will, that needs John Deere tractors to continue to keep feeding itself. on fields that aren't scorched by earth or scorched by the sun or scorched by fire. It's the only thing that's going to be left. And so, yeah, John Deere's holding up pretty well. It's going down. But we're not going to need worldwide fast chips for stuff. We're not going to need that much of them. And so Microsoft is selling off. Apple, have you seen Apple? How many people are going to need a phone when cell service goes out? Again, on Maui, nobody had cell service. Cell service shut down 2 or 3 days before the fire. We're just learning that now. So how much of that even is left? How many people need a brand new cell phone every year to stay up with the latest, greatest technology when this great technology on this phone is now a year old? Do I need to trade it in for something else? Am I still able to shoot videos on it from the campground here? Of course I am. How many new phones do I need in my lifetime? One every 3 years, maybe? Probably, because the technology is so good in these darn things. So then what happens to the cost of Apple stock? It goes from 194 down to 174 today. And it's going lower. Because people can't afford it any longer. They're maxed out. They're up to their eyebrows. Oh yeah, there's a percentage of people like me who understand all of this, who have put together spreadsheets, who run their life based upon all of that and invest based upon all of that. I'm making money today on vacation. I'm short the Qs, and I'm short Caterpillar, because as the tech sector rolls over, I'm short the Qs, so I'm making money there. And then the one sector that's being held up by this market is the industrials. And it too will roll over. And it's starting. So yesterday I bought the short cat at $5 a share. And I sold them yesterday while I was driving on vacation. My phone went ding. And I sold them for $6.30, so I made $1.30. I made $260 driving from Windsor to Dayton. It's more than what a truck driver makes driving from Windsor to Dayton, to be honest with you. Made more than that just because I was smart. I had a brain that runs a spreadsheet that's been running this same spreadsheet for 20 years. And understands what the signal points in the spreadsheet actually are, because I've been doing it for 20 years. It's like, oh, this is an easy one. I know I'm going to be able to make some money here. Let's go ahead and make some money here. Now, yeah, I didn't make very much money. $260 is only $260, but it's $260 that nobody else made yesterday. And then today I'm back shorted again because cat went up to $279 a share. I'm sitting here at the campground. I'm having my breakfast. I'm like, oh, $270. Oh, I know it's going to $270. So let me go ahead and buy more shares. So again, I bought the $275 puts again. And they're starting to come into their value. I bought them at, I don't know what I bought them today. It was $1,000 for 200 of them again. So it was $5 a piece. And I have the same sell price on them at $6.30, and I'll probably be hit out of them, so I'll probably make another $260 today on vacation. Do Americans need to work? No. We just need a government to get out of our way. But taxes are going to go through the roof because the money has to come back to pay the interest on the national debt. We have to stop spending money in Ukraine. We don't have money. That's why the people in Hawaii are only getting a small little pittance, because the government has no money. That's why the government didn't respond. We have no access to any money to be able to even get the trucks out and the helicopters out and fuel the dang things to be able to get over there to help those people. There's no money left anywhere in this system from a government's perspective. And then the people that are in control of the gates are the most liberal, wackiest people on the planet who consider themselves gods, and they don't release the water. And then the corporations who have the budgets for fire mitigation with electrical lines, and they admit, we've seen what happened in California with the electrical lines and the fires that killed hundreds of people. We knew that that was coming to us too if we didn't do anything. So we budgeted $200 million to fix our problem, but we never fixed it. We just budgeted the money to feel good about, oh, we've got a budget for that now. But they never did anything to solve the problem. And now we're talking about hundreds of Americans dying. It's sad. It really is. And all that the rest of us who are still alive can do is go live our lives. Because we don't know when the next liberal do-gooder is going to take us out. It's going to be coming. We don't know if the shot that we have in our arm, the latest data sets on the shots in the arms. And part of my problem, part of the physical problems that I have, are built around the concept that I had shots and I had COVID twice. What all of the data sets are pointing to is that when I had the COVID very early on, that is where the problem is. Even though it was a weak COVID, it actually did more damage to me than the second round of COVID. And the complications of the shots are that much harder on the human body, we're finding out. All of that data is now getting published. We just learned today, by the way, 2 years later, that Alec Baldwin did pull the trigger. But it took 2 years of studying the gun to be able to understand, and a report, and thousands, maybe even millions of dollars, to run studies on the gun to prove that Alec Baldwin did pull the trigger. It's just crazy how our society works any longer. Go out and enjoy this day. I'm going to go camp, and I'm going to go to the Air Force Museum. Have fun. This is Brian signing off from the campground. Go have a blast. Look for markets to be selling off further. No damage to Windsor real estate. Windsor's pretty well insulated because of all the great things that we're getting, because we had leadership that understood that, wait a second. And also, to be honest with you, because we voted conservative for the first time in many, many years. And the conservatives happen to be in power. So they're rewarding us for voting for them. It's the way it works in this world any longer. Have a great day.